Hey y'all, it's Jaha Zainabu, and I am back. Today I want to talk about a coaching call that I had, and we were talking about um, being vulnerable in our writing. And sometimes as artists, that's how do I say, um, we want to write all deep. I don't like that word deep, but we want to write all deep. We want to write these deep, um, moving monologues and I don't know what's on my glasses. These deep moving monologues and conversations, but we don't want to tap into our own feelings. And so let's talk about that. That's what my conversation with my client was. Talking about adding emotions and adding vulnerability to your writing. I do that a lot because it's what I do. Um, I write really vulnerable poems and stories and essays. Like I said, because it's what I do, it's how I started writing. Um, I started writing early in elementary school, and my writing was um, my way of writing. My journals were my first friends, and it's my journals were who I told my stories to. I don't know what's going on with my voice either. My journals were who I told my stories to about being bullied or um, being whatever. And I wrote like I was the only one that's going to read them. And that's what's important. I've said that a million times. Um, I've said that a million times on even these YouTube, um, even, on these YouTube posts. Write like no one's going to hear you. So you sit down to write, and when you want to write this deep monologue, um, don't do performative deep. Don't do what you think that people are going to think is deep. The people are not going to think is deep. The people are going to catch on. Write whatever it is that's going on, write it. If it's a personal monologue and you want to put it in there, write it, put it all in your, especially in your first draft, specifically in your first draft, put it all on the paper, on the computer, whatever your device is that you're writing on, put it all on there. um because you can take it out you can take out the words that you don't want to use during your editing process. You can take that out later, but you don't know where you're going until you see it all in black and white. So put it all in black and white, put it all out there. So once you have it all out there, it's all out there, and you're reading and you are reviewing and you are looking. Spend time with it. Spend time with it. Not just spend time with the words. Spend time with your feelings about your story, about your writing. Spend time with it. Like I said, if it's a personal monologue, then um, spend time with your true feelings, not just your writing. Your true feelings. Don't. How do you really feel? Put that as that on the paper. How you really feel. Not. Don't spiritual lie. I call it. Don't spiritual lie to yourself. And we do that. We put the head wrap on it. Like you are hurting from something, and instead of saying, this is hurting me, I am working my way through this. We want to say, I am well now. We bring out all the mantras. And right now is not time for the mantras. Right now is time for, it might be time for the mantras if, you're on something else. But regarding writing, spend time with it. And how do you really, 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 really feel about what you've written? Um, and just, spend time in it. The other thing is not to judge yourself. If you're writing a character and your character cry. Let go of your judgment about tears. Let go of, I don't know, what are the judgments about tears? Men don't cry. Put your big girl panties on. Don't put your big girl panties on. Men do cry. Um, you know, so there's that. Um, what's the other thing about writing personal monologues and putting your feelings in it and being vulnerable in it? Um, See if you're ready to tell the story. If this is something that is going to be performed, are you ready to tell this story? Have you sat with it long enough? One of the things that I try to be very careful about. My voice is really bothering me. Um, one of the things that I try to be careful about is not performing things too soon, like things that are too close to me too soon. Because I want to know that, and I want to know as much as I can know, that I have the emotional bandwidth to see the monologue through to the end. And, so that I'm not breaking down and having the audience take care of me. If you stand on stage and you break down, then you stand on stage and you break down, and you will live, and everybody will deal. But even if you do, or even if I do, I want to know that I can include that in the act is what's coming to my head, but it's not an act. In the moment, sometimes grief happens in grief is not concerned about our timing, and it happens. But am I as emotionally as prepared as I can be to get through this, is what I ask myself. And sometimes, when we say writing vulnerably, it doesn't always have to be that sad moment. It doesn't always have to be about your assault or the death of a loved one. Sometimes the moments are very funny. Sometimes even in the sad moments, even in the sad topics, there are funny lines and funny moments. I took care of my grandfather. My grandfather had Alzheimer's. I took care of my grandfather, and watching someone who you grew up with fade away is a hard thing. Now, are they physically fading away? No, they're not physically fading away, but their mind is slowly going. Kind of every day they know you less and are less and less familiar with their own surroundings. And it's not an easy thing to watch, but there are funny moments. And I wrote about that. And I wasn't going to not include the moments that were really, really funny, because it's a sensitive topic. My grandmother went through the same thing, not as long as my grandfather, but she did. And there were, and I wrote about that too. And there are funny moments in there. And there were moments that I'm like, I'm not leaving this out. One time, what was one of them? One time, so my grandmother was the secretary or treasurer, some office, dealing with money of the church. And sometimes she kept money at home. And one day I had $100 bill. And this is when I was living with my grandparents. and I had $100 bill, and I asked her if she would give me change because I was going somewhere and I didn't want to stop at the store to break the $100 bill. So I asked her if she would give me change for the bill. So I give her $100 bill, and she goes back to the room, and she comes back and she hands me 4 quarters. And I'm like, yeah, you're about 99 short. So, and so she is arguing with me about, I guess I'm trying to steal her money, or, So, but I put that in there because it was a funny moment. At the time, it was not funny. Did I get my $99? I did, but I did under in her mind. She was like, I don't want to do this anymore. Here, just take the money. Like, take the money. I was like, but it's mine. Yes, I will gladly. Um, but anyway, so see if you're ready to, see if you are ready to carry it through. And if you're not, allow yourself, if you're, let's say you think you are, and in the moment you're on stage, you are mid monologue, are you going to stop and say, you know what, I don't think I'm ready to carry this through? You're probably not going to say that. You're not going to say that. You're going to take a breath, and you're going to breathe through it, and you're going to, what's popping in my head is I was listening to this interview once with Shaka Khan. And Shaka Khan was saying how she has to perform sometimes, even though she has a cold or a bad cough, and or her voice is rather hoarse, and how she performs, how she gets through the show or gets through the song, even with her voice being not at 100. And so she said, I'll have, a coughing spell, or I'll be hoarse, or, I'll have a cold. And I breathe through it. I adjust my voice. I adjust my breathing. I adjust my body. And that cold is incorporated in the show, not like sneezing heavily through the show, but, through breathing techniques, she gets through it. She don't just like stop the show because she had a sneeze. And the same with you. You're not going to just stop the show mid monologue because a tear is coming. You're going to stop. You're going to let the tear fall. You're going to pull out a handkerchief or a tissue. You are going to wipe it away with your sleeve. You're going to breathe. You're going to keep going. You are going to say the rest of the lines inside of that tear, inside of that breath, and you're going to be fine. And you're going to be fine. So, I don't know. That might be all. Breathe through it. You're going to be fine. The other thing is, don't act like whatever it is you're talking about, you are the only one who's ever gone through it. Because you're probably not. And sometimes that's what we get embarrassed about. We get on stage, or we get embarrassed, or, we start writing and we kind of swipe left on a topic because we think, I don't want to write about that because I don't want people to know. Whatever it is, you don't want people to know that you think that you are the only one who has gone through it, and you're not that thing. You're not. So write about it. I've also said this a million times here, that I'm one of those kind of rare people who don't believe in writer's block. I believe that what happens is we just keep swiping left. So something shows up, a topic shows up, and you're like, nope, not that. You sit down to write again, and a really hard topic shows up, and you're like, nope, not that. Or you sit down to write and the easiest topics show up. How much you love your cat shows up. And you're like, that's too... And so you swipe left. So it's not that the topics aren't showing up. It's we keep swiping left on them. Or right. Or however dating sites go. um, yeah, sit down and let that thing that comes to you come to you. And write about it. I write every day. And that's just part of my it's part of my thing. It's what I do. It's what has helped me. And I think because I do write every day, the tone of my writing is not one note. It's kind of way up here. I have paint on my hands. It's kind of way up here on those euphoric days when I feel like just writing, just writing, just writing. And then it goes way down here on those days when I don't really want to write so much, but there's a different note. There's a different, I don't know what it is. There's a different, I have less of a filter when I'm writing when I don't necessarily feel like writing. I don't write as long, but I do write. And when I write, when I don't really necessarily feel like writing, it's the filter is kind of zero. Like if I'm writing about, let's say, someone I might not like or something I might not like, I'm kind of overly honest about that thing. Sometimes those words are pulled out in the editing process, but sometimes I leave them in, There's no one way. Edit, 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 edit. Go to and perform it. Go to an open mic. Have a family gathering and read it. Read it in front of strangers. But read it. Perform it. In front of people, not just your mirror. I'm going to say that again. In front of people, not just your mirror. So that's it. Maybe I'll talk some more about it. But I had a very good coaching call. And I think some things got through. And that's it, y'all. Have an amazing day. I did. I had an amazing day. Peace.